We are live.
Hey, happy Monday. I am Old New Dude, which I didn't really get to say at the beginning last time. And he is,
Richard York, Asher's trueborn son.
I should have told my daughter to introduce herself, but there is, like you said before, some creepy people out there. So maybe that's not a good thing. I am wearing gray in honor of Arya. So, but this is a pretty good chapter. I'm glad we're here on it.
Yeah, we've been debating for the last 5 minutes what the most important moment in this chapter is, and
Yep.
we kind of changed the emphasis as we went here.
You want to go through and get the comments real quick? Because
Sure.
I know
Chris is
Sanji was
waving
on
from the
there.
wall. Sanji says hiya, Sanji.
Hey, Sanji.
Jeffrey asks, without Lizzie, who'll be counting?
Mm.
But then Lizzie's here, says waving from bed, but I'm not counting today. I don't have the bandwidth.
Oh.
He says, let's call it an average of 4.
Hi, Jeff.
You would, because it rhymes with whore. It says Lady Thistle's waving as well.
Hey, Lady Thistle.
All right. Shall we get to it?
She has pictures of what's the best terminology? We'll just go with intestines on Discord. That's pretty good looking. I'm assuming those are intestines, but never mind. It's a pod per joke, and I guess me.
All right.
But, take it away, Richard.
Storm 39, Arya 7, on my honor as a knight. I had to rise Sir Gendry, but we decided on my honor as a knight might be. One thing, Gendry becoming a knight is sort of in that statement, but more importantly, we think that might be the most important line in this entire chapter.
Yeah.
The man on the roof was the first to die. He was crouched down by the chimney 200 yards away, no more than a vague shadow in the pre-dawn gloom. But as the sky began to lighten, he stirred, stretched, and stood. Angai's arrow took him in the chest. He tumbled bonelessly down the steep slate pitch and fell in front of the sceptry door.
Hey, before you go any other, I just thought of something. Have you seen the video or the trailer for the new Henry Cavill movie where they're hunting U-boats?
No, I don't think
Well, it's
so.
got Henry Cavill in it. He's got a beard. He plays this crazy guy. Their job is to go hunt German U-boats. And the guy who plays Reacher on Amazon Prime, who played Aquaman in Smallville, and before that had an audition for American Idol, who played Hawk in the Titans show on HBO. Alec Richmond, I think is his name. I forget, but he's like 5'3", 250 pounds. And throughout the trailer, they got him using I would not say primitive weapons, but they got him going around on several scenes with a bow and arrow. And then it dawned on me, they didn't have silencers back then. So this was their silent way of entering a compound and taking out the guards. What did I say? 5'3" is 6'3". Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, 6'3", 250. But he's going through with this bow and arrow, just destroying these people. And it dawned on me, and I told Chris, I'm like, duh, they didn't have silencers back then. So this was the silent way to do their entry into a compound. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. The miners posted 2 guards there, but the torch left them night blind, and the outlaws had crept in close. Kyle and Notch let fly together. One man went down with an arrow through his throat, the other through his belly. The second man dropped the torch, and the flames licked up at him. He screamed as his clothes took fire, and that was the end of stealth. Thoros gave a shout, and the outlaws attacked in earnest. Arya watched from atop her horse on the crest of the wooded ridge that overlooked the sceptry, mill, brewhouse, and stables, and the desolation of weeds, burnt trees, and mud that surrounded them. The trees were mostly bare now, and the few withered brown leaves that still clung to the branches did little to obstruct her view. Lord Beric had left Beardless Dick and Mudge to guard them. Arya hated being left behind like she was some stupid child, but at least Gendry had been kept back as well. She knew better than to try and argue. This was battle, and in battle you had to obey. To find Henry Cavill's hunting for U-boats, see Triplet Hands episode 5 probably.
Oh, that's hilarious.
The eastern horizon glowed gold and pink, and overhead a half moon peeked out through low scuttling clouds. So George may have learned how the moon works. Here he has a half moon waning would be overhead near dawn. In earlier books, he's implied that the moon rises near sunset and sets near sunrise, regardless of phase. But that would really only be the case when the moon is approximately full.
Okay. We're getting close to our full night, aren't we? Our full moon.
We just passed it, I think.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, I think so.
So's what I know.
The wind blew cold, and Arya could hear the rush of water and the creak of the mill's great wooden water wheel. There was a smell of rain in the dawn air, but no drops were falling yet. Flaming arrows flew through the morning mists, trailing pale ribbons of fire, and thudded into the wooden walls of the septry. A few smashed through shuttered windows, and soon enough, thin tendrils of smoke were rising between the broken shutters.
Hey, with the rain blowing and her mentioning sounds that were on it, I'm surprised that wasn't a moment for Godspeed.
The Green Bard is here, and he says Preston has a video where he connects the Winterfell timeline to the Castle Black timeline using the moon phases. Yes, I think that sometimes you want to see that. Sometimes George doesn't have the times lining up, and I think when he does, he tends to want to throw some things out there to show that they're lining up. So I think that's probably
I want to say I've seen it. Hey, Gee, I want to say I've seen that one, but
I think I'm sure
remember. I'm gonna have to refresh my memory.
Yeah. Two Mongols came bursting from the septry side by side, axes in their hands. Ingai and the other archers were waiting. One axeman died at once. The other managed to duck, so the shaft ripped through his shoulder. He staggered on until two more arrows found him so quickly it was hard to say which would struck first. The long shafts punched through his breastplate as if it had been made of silk instead of steel. He fell heavily. Ingai had arrows tipped with bodkins as well as broadheads. The bodkin could pierce even heavy plate. I'm going to learn to shoot a bow, Arya thought. She loved sword fighting, but she could see how arrows were good too. Book Arya is not show Arya, but she'd like to be.
Yeah.
Flames were creeping up the west wall of the septry, and thick smoke poured through a broken window. A Mirish crossbowman poked his head out a different window, got off a bolt, and ducked down to rewind. She could hear fighting from the stables as well, shouts well mingled with the screams of horses and the clang of steel. Kill them all, she thought fiercely. She bit her lips so hard she tasted blood. Kill every single one.
Kill them all, like burn them all.
Yeah. The crossbowman appeared again, but no sooner had he loosed than three arrows hissed past his head. One rattled off his helm. He vanished, bow and all. Arya could see flames in several of the second-story windows. Between the smoke and the morning mists, the air was a haze of glowing black and white. Ingai and the other bowmen were creeping closer, better to find targets. Then the septry erupted, the mummers boiling out like angry ants. Two Ibbenese rushed through the door with shaggy brown shields held high before them, and behind them came a Dothraki with a great curved arc and bellsman's braid. Behind him, three Volantines, sellswords covered with fierce tattoos. I always like to point out that Tywin was actually the one that first brought Dothraki waters.
Yeah.
Others were climbing out windows and leaping to the ground. Arya saw a man take an arrow through the chest, one leg across a windowsill, and heard a scream as he fell. The smoke was thickening. Whirls and arrows sped back and forth. Wadi fell with the hunt, his bow slipping from his hand. Kyle was trying to knock another shaft to his string when a man in black male flung a spear through his belly. She heard Lord Beric shout. From out of the ditches and trees, the rest of his band came pouring, steel in hand. Arya saw Lem's bright yellow cloak flapping behind him as he rode down the man who killed Kyle. Thoros and Lord Beric were everywhere, their swords swirling fire. The Red Priest hacked at a hide shield until it flew to pieces, while his horse kicked the man in the face. And of course, he doesn't have wildfire, so I don't know if he's using Beric's blood, or more likely, he has such stronger magic than he used to have that he can actually use his prayers to set his blade.
Well, I'm assuming that the dragonfire or wildfire was to simulate something that he saw at the Red Temple. A true believer be able to do to light their flame on sword.
He's now a true believer.
Now he's a true believer and has the ability.
That's why I stopped to mention it. Is because I think it's worth noting that it's unlikely that he has a cache of wildfire anywhere.
No, I don't think he's got any.
The Dothraki screamed and charged the Lightning Lord, and the flaming sword leapt out to meet his Eric. The blades kissed and spun and kissed again. Then the Dothraki's hair was ablaze, and later he was dead. He spied Ned, too, fighting at the Lightning Lord's side. It's not fair. He's only a little older than me. They should have let me fight. So Ned fights in battle. So acting like he's too young to have killed seems a bit naive, Ned. You know, he pretends like, oh, no, of course I've never killed anyone. I'm only 12 or whatever it is. But he's fighting. He fights in battles as a squire beside his knight.
Well, I think this is George nodding at potentially his skill as a fighter.
Yeah, especially
for
the
5-year gap, he was to be the sword of the morning, and then without it, that's why he had to create Darkstar to bring ice. Or not, excuse me, it probably was called ice, but to bring dawn north.
And the Green Bard says, true believer equals open third eye, though he may not understand this. Euron is trying to get Aeron to do the same.
Yeah.
That's in the best wins a winner sample chapter.
Yeah. I finally read it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Is that the only one you've read?
I think I read the Barristan.
Okay. So you tracked down a collection?
Huh?
Did you track down a collection?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. There was another one, but I didn't want to read it. Was it the Sansa one?
Well, I told you one of those things in the Theon one.
Was it Arion or whatever her name is?
Sure.
Martell. Yeah, I'm waiting. I'll wait on those. but Forsaken, I've heard so much about. The Arya chapter I've heard so much about, and the Barristan chapter I heard so much about. I wanted to know them.
Green Bard says I like the Elaine chapter. So
I mean, in the regular books, you could see her shift from the shy little maid that didn't know anything, sure, and you can see it in the book. So I'm assuming that that's going to continue, which makes it for a better and better read. Just as Arya's worldness, her growth, the more knowledge, the more the world she sees, her chapters become more and more. But hers have always been good. But I mean, they just get better and better. Hey, Nettles.
All right. The battle did not last very long. The brave companions still. Oh, I was going to say that I really like the one of the things I like about the Theon chapter is that we see. I think that's the one where we see them quizzing Jane Poole, and the questions being asked are literally the people that Osha would be most likely to have briefed them on.
Okay.
All right. Where were we? The battle did not last very long. The brave companions still on their feet soon died or threw down their swords. Two of the Dothraki managed to regain their horses and flee, but only because Lord Beric let them go. Let them carry the word back to Harrenhal, he said, with flaming sword in hand. It will give the Leech Lord and his goat a few more sleepless nights. Jack Be Lucky, Harwin, and Merritt of Moontown braved the burning Septry to search for captives. They emerged from the smoke and flames a few months later with 8 brown brothers, one so weak that Merritt had to carry him across the shoulder. There was a Septon with him as well, round-shouldered and balding. They wore black chainmail over his gray robes. Found him hiding under the cellar steps, said Jack, coughing. Thoreau smiled to see him. You are Ut. Septon Ut, a man of God. What God would want the likes of you, growled Lem. I have sinned, the Septon wailed. I know. Forgive me. I know. I do. That sounds kind of patch-facey. Forgive me, Father. Oh, grievously have I sinned. Hi, Chris. All right, there we go.
I like Lem.
Oh, yeah. Arya remembers Septon Ut from her time at Harrenhal. Shagwell the Fool said he always wept and prayed for forgiveness after he killed his latest boy. Sometimes he even made the other mummers scourge him. They all thought that was very funny. Lord Beric slammed his sword into its scabbard, quenching the flames. Give the dying the gift of mercy and bind the others hand and foot for trial, he commanded, and it was done. Sorry, I was just seeing Nettles saying hello to everyone there. The trials went swiftly. Various of the outlaws came forward to tell of things the brave companions had done. Towns and village sacked, crops burned, women raped and murdered, men maimed and tortured. A few spoke of the boys that Septon had carried off. Septon wept and prayed through it all. I am a weak reed, he told Lord Beric. I pray to the warrior for strength, but the gods made me weak. Have mercy on my weakness. The boys, the sweet boys, I never mean to hurt them. Septon soon dangled beneath a tall elm, swinging slowly by the neck, as naked as his name day. The other brave companions followed one by one. A few fought, kicking and struggling as the noose was tightened round their throats. One of the crossmen kept shouting, I soldier, in a thick Marish accent. Another offered to lead his captors to gold. A third told them what a good outlaw he would make. Each was stripped and bound and hanged in turn. Tom Sevenstrings played a dirge for the Mona's part, and Thoros implored the Lord of Light to roast their souls until the end of time.
Well, I mean, you see Kat, Lady Stoneheart, continue the justice of the hanging when she takes over. Even though I doubt her trials are nearly as.
Kat doesn't do trials.
Yeah. It was a trial of the mind, her mind.
A mummer tree, Arya thought as she watched them dangle, their pale skins painted a sullen red by the flames of the burning sceptry. Girl Nettle says, hello, my love. I don't know. I'm not sure if he's referring to there, but so LMLs discuss Christmas symbolism and given this as an example of where a mummer tree was an early name for a Christmas tree.
Okay.
Already the crows were coming, appearing out of nowhere. She heard them croaking and cackling at one another and wondered what they were saying. Arya had not feared Septon Ut as much as she did Rorge and Biter and some of the others still at Harrenhal, but she was glad that he was dead all the same. They should have hanged the hound, too, or chopped its head off. Instead, to her disgust, the outlaws had treated Sandor Clegane's burned arm, restored his sword and horse and armor, and set him free a few miles from the Hollow Hill. All they'd taken was his gold. Like Mad Ares, might Mad Ott or some other bloody mummers have the gift? Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's why it sounds like I know kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And the crows already on their way. I've always mentioned that anytime we see any type of flying animal in the books that is possibly Bloodraven or the three-eyed crow snooping around using the fastest animal and the ones with the best eyes to find out what's going on.
Bart says, assuming Qyburn did. Could be. He does seem to have some magic, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Nels, I told you not to call me that in front of everyone. The sceptry soon collapsed in a roar of smoke and flame, its walls no longer able to support the weight of its heavy slate roof. The 8 brown brothers watched with resignation. They were all that remained, explained the eldest, with a small iron hammer on a thong about his neck to signify his devotion to the smith. Before the war, we were 4 and 40, and this was a prosperous place. We had a dozen milk cows and a bull, 100 beehives, a vineyard, and an apple arbor. When the lions came through, they took all our wine and milk and honey, slaughtered the cows, and put our vineyard to the torch. After that, I've lost count of our visitors. This false Septon was only the latest. There was one monster. We gave him all our silver, but he was certain we were hiding gold. So his men killed us one by one to make elder brother talk. How did the 8 of you survive? Asked Angai the archer. I'm ashamed, the old man said. It was me. When it came my turn to die, I told them where our gold was hidden. Brothers, said Borosavmir, the only shame was not telling them at once. The outlaws sheltered that night in the brewhouse beside the little river. Pod, I purposely left you out of my greetings. Their hosts had a cache of food hidden beneath the floor of the stables, so they shared a simple supper, oaten bread, onions, and a watery cabbage soup tasting faintly of garlic. Arya found a slice. Oops, I accidentally can't let do that. All right. Arya found a slice of carrot floating in her bowl and counted herself lucky. The brothers never asked the outlaws for names. They know, Arya thought. How could they not? Lord Beric wore the lightning bolt and breastplate, shield, and cloak. Thoros' red robes, or remained of them. One brother, a young novice, was bold enough to tell the red priest not to preach his false gods so long as he was under their roof. Bugger that, said Lem Cloak. He's our god too, and you owe us for your bloody lives. And what's false about him? Might be your smith can mend a broken sword, but can he heal a broken man?
Lim reminds me of the Hound.
Oh yeah, and of course he's gonna become the Hound, right? He becomes the Hound at the end of the fourth book, I think.
Lim?
Yeah. You don't remember that? Anyway.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I think Rorge becomes the Hound first, right?
Okay.
And then I think Lem becomes the Hound after Rorge.
Okay. Well, you know how my memory is, man.
Enough, Lem, Lord Bear commanded. Beneath their roof we will honor their rules. The sun will not cease to shine if we miss a prayer or two, Thoros agreed mildly. I'm one who would know. Yeah, he wears the mask in Brienne chapter. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Lord Beric himself did not eat. Arya had never seen him eat, but from time to time he took a cup of wine. He did not seem to sleep either. His good eye would open as if from weariness. When you spoke to him, it would flick open again at once. The Marcher Lord was still clad in his ratty black cloak, dented breastplate, which chipped enamel lightning. He even slept in that breastplate. The dull black steel hid the terrible wound the Hound had given him, the same way his thick woolen scarf concealed the dark ring about his throat. Nothing hid his broken head, all caved in at the temple, or the raw red pit that was his missing eye, or the shape of the skull beneath his face.
So he shares some similarities with Melisandre.
Right, right. And this is part of why people think that he doesn't have living functions, whereas I would argue that he does. Right, that we see the blood flows through him, and we see it.
Right, but he's living off of the life fire that was given.
Right.
Whether you want to call that the magic of R'hllor or whatever is.
Well, and we're gonna see Thoros specifically say that it's taking from him.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I know there's those that say it's not magic at all, magic at all. It's something else. But whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, it's sustaining him. And I don't know if it's a 1-to-1 comparison to Melisandre, but it could be, but I don't know. But I think that they're being animated by different means.
Oh, I never thought of the fact that could mean Melisandre died.
Yeah. That's one of the theories. That's not mine. It's just one of the theories out there that
interesting.
That she's older than we know. Probably the oldest person in the book that we've seen so far, and she's definitely using the glamour because she doesn't wear a mask and she's a shadow binder. I mean, all this stuff is theories that are out there, but the theory is that she originally was a slave along the lines that she did die.
Well, that's not much of a theory. That's pretty given her point of view chapter.
Yeah. So I mean, she's been a red priest. She's been a shadow binder. I mean, she's wore many hats. So
we need more information. We need to see if Beric can age. Unfortunately, he's not going to be around long enough to figure that out.
That's true.
She definitely doesn't do certain activities that are typically expected of living beings. Yes.
Yeah.
If Melisandre can age, then maybe she didn't die. Yeah, that's also possible, sir. Sure. Arya looked at him warily, remembering all the tales told of him in Harrenhal. Lord Beric seemed to sense her fear. He turned his head and beckoned her closer. Do I frighten you, child? No, she chewed her lip. Only, well, I thought the Hound had killed you, but... A wound, said Lem Cloak. A grievous wound, aye, but Thoros healed it. There's never been no better healer. Lord Beric gazed at Lem with a queer look in his good eye and no look at all the other, with scars but no better healer, he agreed wearily. Lem, past time to change the watch, I think. See to it, if you'd be so good. Aye, my lord. Lem's big yellow cloak swirled behind him as he strode out into the windy night. Even brave men blind themselves sometimes. When they're afraid to see, Lord Beric said, and Lem was gone. Thoros, how many times have you brought me back now? The Red Priest bowed his head. It's R'hllor who brings you back, my lord. The Lord of Light. I'm only his instrument. How many times? Lord Beric insisted. 6, Thoros said reluctantly. And each time is harder. You've grown reckless, my lord. Is death so very sweet? Sweet? No, my friend, not sweet. Then do not court it so. Lord Tywin leads from the rear. Lord Stannis as well. It would be wise to do the same. Seventh death might mean the end of both of us. So that definitely makes it sound like Thoros is sacrificing his life fire as well.
Yeah, definitely. And also, when we were discussing what happens with cats, I think at this point, not Thoros, but Barrick, um, is tired of the existence that he's been left with right now, and he.
Right. That's part of it. But I still think this is the key.
Yeah. I agree with you on what you were thinking, but
Yep.
I think there's two parts to it.
Oh
His
yeah,
willingness
that's definitely part of it.
yeah.
Lord Barrick touched the spot above his left ear where his temple was caved in. Here is where Sir Burton Craighall broke helm and head with a blow of his mace. He unwound his scarf, exposing the black bruise that encircled his neck. Here, the mark the manticore made at Rushing Falls. He seized the poor beekeeper and his wife, thinking they were mine. Let it be known far and wide that he would hang them both unless I gave myself up to him. When I did, he hanged them anyway, and me on the gibbet between them. He lifted a finger to the raw red pit of his eye. Here is where the mountain thrust its dirk through my visor. A weary smile brushed his lips. That's thrice I have died at the hands of House Clegane. You would think that I might have learned. It was a jest, Arya knew, but Thoros did not laugh. He put a hand on Lord Barrick's shoulder. Best not to dwell on it. Can I dwell on what I scarce remember? I held a castle in the marches once. There was a woman I was pledged to marry, but I could not find that castle today, nor tell you the color of that woman's hair. Who knighted me, old friend? What were my favorite?
Her hair was honey.
I'm not certain if that's the same person, but anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, why would he mention the color of her hair if it not be a slight nod?
Sure.
It could be like the color of her eyes or picture her face, or it typically says color of hair.
Who knighted me, old friend? What were my favorite foods? It all fades. Sometimes I think I was born on the bloody grass in that grove of ash, with the taste of fire in my mouth and a hole in my chest. Are you my mother, Thoros? Arya stared at the Mirish priest, all shaggy hair and pink rags and bits of old armor. Gray stubble covered his cheeks, the sagging skin beneath his chin. He did not look much like the wizards in old Nan's stories, but even so. Could you bring back a man without a head? Arya asked. Just the once, not 6 times. Could you? This is the opposite of Bloodraven and Maester Aemon, who remember everything. I have no magic, child. Only prayers. The first time his lordship had a hole right through him and blood in his mouth. I knew there was no hope. So when his poor torn chest stopped moving, gave him the good God's own kiss to send him on his way. I filled my mouth with fire and breathed the flames inside him, down his throat to lungs and heart and soul. The last kiss it is called. Many a time I saw the old priest bestow it on the Lord's servants as they died. I'd given it a time or two myself, as all priests must, but never before had I felt a dead man shudder as the fire filled him, or seen his eyes come open. It was not me who raised him, my lady. It was the Lord. The Lord is not done with him yet. Life is warmth. Warmth is fire. And fire is God's and God's alone.
Again, this is another thing that he saw holier men do, even though they wasn't bringing them back to life.
Right.
He was just going through the steps of what he saw true believers do, and then something kick-started.
Barrick remembers nothing. Does this mean that this is a different magic source? Cold preserves, says the Green Bard.
Oh, that's a nice little the cold preserves, but Melisandre's fire, but she remembers Barrick.
Consumed.
So, it can't be a one-to-one or comparison between Barrick and Melisandre. You're right.
Now, is that just because he's died so many times that he has this problems, though?
Yeah, that might be it. I mean, it was a Preston that said the first time you're basically 90% of what you were, and then it just keeps going down and down and down.
Sure.
So, I mean, the first time you're still mostly who you were.
I wouldn't rule out the possibility of Melisandre being dead just because she remembers things.
Right. So, but she might have only died one time.
Right. Arya felt tears.
I do like the cold preserves part.
Well, we hear that. We hear that from Aemon. Aemon says that on the boat.
Yeah.
Arya felt tears well in her eyes. Would be an argument that Mel is alive, I suppose, or at least tied to a knowledge reservoir, although the Weirwoods. Well, I mean, she definitely can see visions in the flames.
Yeah.
Arya felt tears well in her eyes. Thoros used a lot of words, but all they meant was no. That much she understood. Your father was a good man, Lord Beric said. Harwin has told me much of him. For his sake, I would gladly forgo your ransom, but we need the gold too desperately. She chewed her lip. That's true, I guess. He had given the hounds gold to Greenbeard and the huntsman to buy provisions south of Commander, she knew. The last harvest burned, but this one is drowning. The winter will soon be on us, she had heard him say when he sent them off. The small folk need grain and seed. We need blades and horses. Too many of my men ride round-seas drays and mules against foes mounted on coursers and destiers. Arya didn't know how much Robb would pay for her, though. He was a king now, not the boy she'd left at Winterfell with snow melting in his hair. The whole family seemed obsessed with the snow melting in Robb's hair. She's a shadow or echo of her previous self, says Edward Martin.
I tend to agree. Hey, James.
And if he knew the things she'd done, the stable boy and the guarded Harrenhal and all, what if my brother doesn't want to ransom me? Why would you think that? Asked Lord Beric. Well, Arya said, my hair is messy and my nails are dirty and my feet are all hard. Robb wouldn't care about that, probably, but her mother would. Lady Catelyn always wanted her to be like Sansa, to sing and dance and sew and mind her courtesies. Just thinking of it made Arya try to comb her hair with her fingers. It was all tangles and mats, and all she did was tear some out. I ruined that gown that Lady Smallwood gave me, and I don't sew so good. She chewed her lip. I don't sew very well, I mean. Sefton Mordain used to say I had a blacksmith's hands. Gendry hooted. Those little things, he called out. You couldn't even hold a hammer. I could if I wanted, she snapped at him. Thoros chuckled. Your brother will pay, child. Have no fear on that count. Yes, but what if he won't, she insisted. Lord Beric sighed. I think there's only one magic source. Hi, James. Fire magic is a perversion of the magic source. That's why it needs a price. Green Bard, hey, brother. Hi, James. All right. Nettle's my queen. Hey, now.
It could be one source, but I think it has different aspects to it. Possibly the elements or...
Yeah. I mean, it seems like water magic is healing magic, for example. Yeah. Lord Beric sighed. Then I will send you to Lady Smallwood for a time, perhaps to mine own castle of Blackhaven. So he remembers the name, even if he doesn't know where it is.
Yeah.
But that will not be necessary, I'm certain. I do not have the power to give back your father, no more than Thoros does. But I can at least see that you will return safely to your mother's arms. Do you swear? She asked him. Yoren had promised to take her home too, only he'd gotten killed instead. On my honor as a knight, the Lightning Lord said solemnly. There it is. Now we see that Beric we see additional motivation for Beric to agree to raise Catelyn here. We know Harwin is going to beg him to do that. Thoros is going to talk about that. And yes, he's tired of doing this, but also he promises here, right? And in order to fulfill this promise, Catelyn has to be alive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I in this world, I take a swear higher than a promise. I akin a swear to a holy oath.
Well, he definitely, his honor as a knight is definitely important to him too.
Yeah. So, well, like I say, and I think there was two things to play at him raising Cat. One, I agree with you, his solemn oath as a knight, swearing, and then also he's tired of this existence that he has been basically.
Well, and Harwin has clearly praised the Starks to him, and he understands that her parents are good people, and Harwin begs him begs Thoros to save Catelyn,
right,
and he won't do it because she's too far gone, and
yeah.
Right, and so Beric, I think this is significant additional motivation.
I agree. Well, I mean, I look at it this way: if Beric and Thoros are on about even playing field as far as life fire goes, Thoros realizes that he's only got one more in him, and it's going to kill him. So right. I think we'll see that play out later in the story, where he does use up that one last life fire. Could it be on Jaime, even though you don't believe in the trial by combat? I don't know, but it's going to be somebody significant that we see Thoros, whether he's seen it in the flames. This person has to be there. I've seen it in the flames.
Well, either way, We know Brienne's coming back there, so it could be Brienne.
Yeah. But I mean, it's got to be somebody significant. I'm assuming it's going to be somebody that's going to be a POV character, which is the Riverlands. That puts it either at Jamie, it puts it at Brienne. It could be hell, I don't know, but I mean, I think he's going to give up that live fire and he'd be out of the story in the next book. All right, we got to catch up on comments.
Nettle says, yeah, one source that comes to the core of the planet that manifests as water, earth, and wind, but fire seems to be the odd one out. The Green Bard says, yep, it was a matter of honor, so he's agreeing with us.
Yeah.
Nettle says, the blood betrayal, the conversion of magic. Wow, I never noticed this connection before. So is Harwin's belief that brought Cat back and Beric paid the price? I feel like we need both belief and a price paid for magic to work. Yeah, and Preston has argued that it's deliberately ambiguous and that could even be Arya and her wake up, that could have been part of the process that convinced the gods that Catelyn's not done yet.
Oh, her presence as the powerful ass skin changer, in proximity to Cat's body, bringing it to shore,
and screaming at her to wake up,
screaming at her to wake up, trying to communicate with her. Just the amount of magical power for her to be all the way in Bravos and Nymeria being in the Riverlands would be the possibly.
I think about the whole aspect of water magic being about resurrection and healing, right?
Yeah, so you're using water magic, healing, plus the kiss of life fire. Yeah, I mean it was probably a trifecta.
Girl Nettle says she likes Arya having belief now. I don't know about that.
Yeah. You got three things going on there for sure. Skin changing from Arya, which is powerful magic on her part. The Beric, and you also got the water.
For more on water magic, see Triplet Targaryen's episode 6.
Well, yeah, and also stop and think about this. Arya is in Bravos, a city built on top of water.
Yeah.
We're talking about the water magic.
Huh? It was raining when Lem returned to the brew house, muttering curses as water ran off his yellow cloak to puddle on the floor. Anguy and Jack Be Lucky sat by the door rolling dice. No matter which game they played, One-Eyed Jack had no luck at all. Tom Seven Strings replaced the string on his wood harp and sang the mother's tears. When Willem's wife was wet, which sounds kind of kiki, Lord Hart rode out on a rainy day, and then the rains of Castamere. The warming. Warging. Oh, okay. And who are you? The proud lord said that I must bow so low. Only a cat of a different coat. That's all the truth I know. In a coat of gold or I don't know how the melody goes in this part. Or a coat of red, a lion still has claws, and mine are long and sharp, as long and sharp as yours. And so he spoke, that Lord of Castamere. But now the rains weep o'er his hall, with no one there to hear. Yes, now the rains weep o'er his hall, and not a soul to hear. So,
Bravo.
This song is partially about erasing a female leader from history because it's actually supposed to be a lady that with the line, not a lord.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of like erasing Asherah as the Dione. See Triplet Targaryen's episode 1.
I saw it in your eyes before you even started to say it, man. I've been hanging out with you too long.
Nettle says Willet's wife was wet. The Green Bard. Sir Hyle, he needs to be saved, bro, is Brienne's biggest fan, but hides it behind discourtesies. He also saved Sam's life. Yeah, people forget that he's the one that saved Sam when he was drowning. Bard. You're singing it right, Rich. Okay, good. Finally, Tom ran out of rain songs and put away his harp. Then there was only the sound of the rain itself beating down on the slate roof of the brew house. The dice game ended, and Arya stood on one leg and then the other, listening to Merrick complain about his horse throwing a shoe. I could shoe him for you, said Gendry all of a sudden. I was only apprentice, but my master said my hand was made to hold a hammer. I can shoe horses, close up rents and mail, and beat the dents from plate. I bet I could make swords, too. What are you saying, lad? Asked Harwin. I'll smith for you. Gendry went to one knee before Lord Beric. If you'll have me, my lord, I could be of use. I've made tools and knives, and once I made a helmet that wasn't so bad. One of the mountainsmen stole it from me when he was taken. Arya bit her lip. He means to leave me, too. You would do better serving Lord Tully at River Run, said Lord Beric. I cannot pay for your work. No one ever did. I want a forge, food to eat, some place I can sleep. That's enough, my lord. A smith can find a welcome most anywhere, a skilled armorer even more so. Why would you choose to stay with us? Arya watched Gendry screw up his stupid face, thinking. At the Hollow Hill, what you said about being King Robert's men and brothers, I liked that. I liked that you gave the Hound a trial. Lord Bolton just hanged folk or took off their heads, and Lord Tywin and Sir Amory were the same. I'd sooner smith for you. We got plenty of male needs men, my lord, Jack reminded Lord Beric. Mostly took off the dead, it's holes where the death came through. You must be a lack-wit boy, said Lem. We're outlaws, low-born scum, most of us accepting his lordship. Don't think it'll be like Tom's fool songs, neither. You won't be stealing no kisses from a princess, nor riding in no tourneys in stolen armor. You join us, you'll end with your neck in a noose, or your head mounted up above some castle gate.
Hey, I got a question. Thoros of Myr was good friends with Robert. They drank all the time. He doesn't recognize Gendry's looks.
He knows Gendry. They talked about how they'd met before.
Right. But just to look him in the face, I mean, other
he's
people
decided not to say anything, but he knows.
Okay.
I prefer Colleen's Beats version of Brains.
Hey, mother.
I like that you gave the Hound a trial. The man likes democracy. Yeah, ahead, Mother Right. It's no more than they do for you, said Gendry. Aye, that's so, said Jack Lucky cheerfully. The crows await us all. Well, Lord, the boy seems brave enough, and we do have need of what he brings us. Take him, says Jack. And quick, suggested Harwin, chuckling, before the fever passes and he comes back to his senses. A wan smile crossed Lord Beric's lips. Thoros, my sword. This time the Lightning Lord did not set the blade of fire, but merely laid it light on Gendry's shoulder. Gendry, do you swear before the eyes of gods and men to defend those who cannot defend themselves, to protect all women and children, to obey your captains, your liege lord, and your king, to fight bravely when needed, and do such other tasks as are laid upon you, however hard or humble or dangerous they may be? I do, my lord. The martial lord moved the sword from right shoulder to the left and said, Arise, Sir Gendry, knight of the Hollow Hill, and be welcome to our brotherhood. From the door came rough, rasping laughter. Gronell says, Gendry looks like Renly, and Robert hasn't been thin for a long time. I don't think he's connecting the dots about Gendry.
I don't know. I tend to think that Richard's right. I think he's choosing not to say anything.
Yeah, I think he's known Robert for a long time. The rain was running off him. His burned arm was wrapped in leaves and linen and bound tight against his chest with a crude rope sling. But the odor of burns that marked his face glistened black and slick in the glow of their little fire. Making more knights, Vendarian? The intruder said in a growl. I ought to kill you all over again for that. Lord Beric faced him coolly. I'd hoped we'd seen the last of you, Clegane. How did you come to find us? It wasn't hard. You made enough bloody smoke to be seen in Old Town. What's become of the sentries I posted? Clegane's mouth twitched. Those two blind men? Might be I killed them both. What would you do if I had? Ingai strung his bow. Notch was doing the same. Do you wish to die so very much, Sandor? Asked Thoros. You must be mad or drunk to follow us here. Drunk on rain. You didn't leave me enough gold to buy a cup of wine, you horsens. Ingai drew an arrow. We're outlaws. Outlaws steal. It's in the songs. If you ask nice, Tom may sing you one. Be thankful we didn't kill you. Come try it, Archer. I'll take that quiver off you and shove those arrows up your freckly little arse. Ingai raised his longbow, but Lord Beric lifted a hand before it could loose. Why did you come here, Clegane? To get back what's mine. Your gold? Whatever. Wasn't for the pleasure of looking at your face, Thunderian. I'll tell you that. You're uglier than me now, and a robber knight besides, it seems. I gave you a note for your gold, Lord Beric said calmly. I promise to pay when the war's done. I wiped my arse with your paper. I want the gold. We don't have it. I sent it to Greenbeard, the huntsman, by grain and seed across the Mander. To feed all them whose crops you burned, said Gendry. Is that the tale now? Sandor Clegane laughed again. As it happens, that's just what I meant to do with it. Feed a bunch of ugly peasants and their poxy whelps. You're lying, said Gendry. There is no ransom to be gained from Gendry, so you may be right. But if he knows that's Robert's son, why not champion him as the heir to the throne? Well, because a bastard cannot inherit unless legitimized by a king. So there's no, as Ned tells us in the first book, there's no risk of a bastard ever making a claim.
Yeah.
You're lying, said Gendry Westbury. The boy has a mouth on him, I see. Why believe them and not me? Couldn't be my face, could it? Clegane glanced at Arya. Going to make her a knight too, Denarian, the first 8-year-old girl knight? I'm 12, Arya lied loudly. And I could be a knight if I wanted. I could have killed you too, only Lem took my knife. Remember, that still made her angry. Lem, not me. Then tuck your tail between your legs and run. You know what dogs do to wolves. Next time I will kill you. I'll kill your brother too. No, his dark eyes narrowed. That you won't. He turned back to Lord Beric. Say, make my horse a knight. He never shits in the hall and doesn't kick more than most. He deserves to be knighted. Unless you mean to steal him too. Best climb on that horse and go, warned Lem. I'll go with my gold. Your own god said I'm guiltless. The Lord of Light gave you back your life, declared Thorossenbeer. He did not proclaim you Baelor the Blessed, come again. The Red Priest unsheathed his sword, and Arya saw that Jack and Merritt had drawn as well. Lord Beric still held the blade he'd used to dub Gendry. Maybe this time. So I've heard people, I think it was Girl Scout Cannon, say that Thoros was saying that he wasn't really found not guilty. But that's not what he's saying. He's saying you're not guilty of the crimes that we accused you of, but you're not Baelor the Blessed either. You can commit new crimes from here, and we will hold you accountable. Girl Mouse says, Black of hair is still proof of the 3 Lannister kids being bastards. I'm just arguing to argue at this point. Well, I mean, that's kind of your brand, isn't it?
Well, I mean,
it's
the hair color of the Lannister children don't really prove that, though, because look at the Starks. Ned's children, all of them are like the mother except for one, and that's 5. And
well, but part of the point is that he has lots of bastards, right? However many of the Maggie the Frog says he has, right? And
16 or 20, I can't remember.
Yeah, some huge number, right? And some of those are with, at least one of those was actually with a Lannister, I think, right? Because Cersei had sold him to slavery.
Can't remember.
At one point,
yeah, there are those that are older than Gendry also.
Cersei's a slaver. At one point, she actually enslaves one of them.
Yeah. Now, of course, I think Gendry's trueborn and Azor Ahai, but that's not here nor there.
I think it's interesting that there's a red priest here that's referring to Baelor the Blessed as his example of somebody who's guiltless. kind of shows you.
A lot of time. He spent a lot of time in Westeros at King's Landing.
Kind of like Theon saying gods, right? It's people who have been too embedded in the other culture to.
So that brings the question: his true believer status, is it true believer status, or is something else going on there? Because just like Theon, he's kind of mixed because of how long he spent as a non-believer, but also in King's Landing.
The Green Bard says it's only the magic of the Durin Baratheon black. This phenomenon applies to no other hair. I think it's specifically, that's kind of part of the point of the book, right? Is to show that the Baratheon line in particular, when it's merged with other lines that far back in history that he looks at Baratheon with anybody, it's always the Baratheon black hair always gets carried on.
Yeah.
My son and grandson are blue-eyed blondes. Biology is wild. Hair color can be meaningless. I gave birth to my father-in-law. See, it's strong.
Exactly.
So, yeah, and I mean, there's certainly well-documented cases of there's a black woman that gave birth to twins, one of whom was pale skin with red hair and like blue or green eyes, and then the other one was dark skinned with looked very black, right? So anyway, yeah, that's definitely been.
Now, were they infertile or almost identical?
They were clearly fraternal twins. and two girls, but the point being that one of them looked like the father and one of them looked like the mother.
Yeah.
The hound's mouth gave another twitch. You're no more than common thieves. Lem glowered. Your lion friends ride into some village, take all the food and every coin they find and call it foraging. The wolves as well, so why not us? No one robbed you, dog. You've just been good and foraged. Senator Clegane looked at their faces, every one, as if he were trying to commit them all to memory. Then he walked back out into the darkness, pouring rain from whence he'd come, with never another word. The outlaws waited, wondering. Earth is not Planetos. Different genetic rules because they didn't kill the magic in their world like we did ours.
Yeah, but George is still following some kind of genetics.
I mean, he's certainly somebody who is, in fact,
knowledgeable.
He's written most of his work is kind of related to this, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Obviously Game of Thrones is the whole bastards thing and so forth, but right. So was Wild Cards is not almost purely about genetics.
But I mean, I would go out. I'll go out on a limb and say that George R. R. Martin knows more about genetics than I do, for sure.
That could be. I best go see what he did to our sentries. Harwin took a wary look out the doors before he left to make certain the hound was not lurking just outside. How'd that bloody bastard get all that gold anyhow? Lem Cluck said to break the tension. Anguy shrugged. He won the hands tourney in King's Landing. The bowman grinned. I won a fair fortune myself, but then I met Dancy, Jade, and Alayaya. They taught me what roast swan tastes like and how to bathe in arbor wine. Pissed it all away, did you? Laughed Harwin. Isn't Harwin the one that just left?
I thought so.
That's weird. It's really strange. Anyway.
Yeah, there's very few mistakes. Well, there's.
Yeah, that seems like a mistake.
Yeah.
Preston doesn't think that it makes any sense that Anguy would have been able to possibly lose that much gold that quickly, but and thinks that maybe
wasn't it like 40 or 45,000?
It was only like 10. I think it was only like 10,000 for the archery, maybe 20, but it was not the 40,000 that the hound got.
Okay.
But it's still a lot, right?
It all added up to be 90 or 100,000.
He does make it sound like they were it wasn't just sex workers. It was also roast swan and bathing in arbor wine. Like he's going through a lot pretty quickly there.
Yeah.
Anyway, but he thinks that maybe Anguy helped fund the Brotherhood.
A fool and his money are soon parted.
Anyway, maybe if he did have any left, I'm sure he's donated it to the cause.
Yeah.
Not all. I bought these boots and this excellent dagger. You ought to have bought some land and made one of them roast swan girls an honest woman, said Jackie Lucky. Raise yourself a crop of turnips and a crop of sons. Warrior, defend me. What a waste that would have been to turn my gold to turnips. I like turnips, said Jack, aggrieved. I could do with some mashed turnips right now. Thoros and Murray paid no heed to the banter. Right, funding the Brotherhood makes the most sense if Jerem thought of it at all. Right, remember he may just have said that, I explained it here, it's gone. Yeah. Anyway. The hound has lost more than a few bags of coin, he mused. He's lost his master and kennel as well. He cannot go back to the Lannisters. The young wolf would never have him, nor would his brother be like to welcome him. That gold was all he had left, it seems to me. Bloody hell, said Waddy the miller. He'll come murder us in our sleep for sure then. No, Lord Beric had sheathed his sword. Senator Clegane would kill us all gladly, but not in our sleep. Anguy, on the morrow, take the rear with Beardless Dick. If we see Clegane still sniffing after us, kill his horse. That's a good horse, Anguy protested. Aye, said Lem. It's the bloody rider we should be killing. We could use that horse. I'm with Lem, Notch said. Let me feather the dog a few times, discourage him some. Lord Beric shook his head. Clegane won his life beneath the hollow hill. I will not rob him of it. My lord is wise, Thoros told the others. Brothers, a trial by battle is a holy thing. You heard me ask the Lord to take a hand, and you saw his fiery finger snap Lord Beric's sword, just as he was about to make an end of it. The Lord of Light is not done with Joffrey's hound, it would seem. Harwin soon returned to the brewhouse. See, now he's back. He left back, and in between he was talking. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Puddingfoot was sound asleep, but unharmed. Harwin soon returned to the brewhouse. Oh, I said that. Wait till I get a hold of him, said Lem. I'll cut him a new bunghole. He could have gotten every one of us killed. No one rested very comfortably that night, knowing that Senator Clegane was out there in the dark somewhere close. Arya curled up near the fire, warm and snug, yet sleep would not come. She took out the coin that Juck and Hagar had given her and curled her fingers around it as she lay beneath her cloak. It made her feel strong to hold it, remembering how she'd been the ghost in it. I've seen here. It was what should be been, right? She'd been the ghost in Heron Hall. She could kill with a whisper then. I find eye color much more interesting in Songwise and Fire than hair color, says the Green Bard.
Yeah, I
Jack,
think we're just playing with both of them, though.
oh yeah, absolutely. Jackin was gone, though. He'd left her. Hot Pie left me too. No. And now Gendry is leaving. Lami had died. Lauren had died. Sarah Farrell had died. Even her father had died. And Jockin had given her a stupid iron penny and vanished. Valar Morghulis, she whispered softly, tightening her fists to the hard edges of the coin dug into her palm. Sir Gregor, Dunson, Oliver, Raff the Sweetling, the Tickler and the Hound, Sir Ilan, Sir Meryn, King Joffrey, Queen Cersei. I had tried to imagine how they would look when they were dead. It was hard to bring their faces to mind. The Hound she could see, and his brother the Mountain. She would never forget Joffrey's face or his mother's. But Raff and Dunson and Oliver were all fading. Even the Tickler, whose looks had been so commonplace. Kind of reminds me of Ned with his dream where he can't remember the men that he promised never to forget.
Yeah.
Ned's right. If it was Earth Valerians and part of the world that they're in, would have had more melanin in their skin, no doubt. With all the tie-ins to emperors and eye color, great empire of the North. Plantos is the magic world. True, James Mills.
Yeah.
Sleep took her at last, but in the black night, Arya woke again, tingling. The fire had burned down to embers. Mudge stood by the door, and another guard was pacing outside. The rain had stopped, and she could hear wolves howling. So close, she thought, so many. They sounded as if they were all around the stable, dozens of them, maybe hundreds. I hope they eat the Hound. Sure remember what he said about wolves and dogs. Come morning, Septonot still swung beneath the tree, but the Brown brothers were out in the rain with spades digging shallow graves for the other dead. Lord Beric thanked them for the night's lodging and the meal, and gave them a bag of silver stags to help rebuild. Harwin, likely Luke, and Waddy the Miller went out scouting. Neither wolves nor hounds were found. As Arya was cinching her saddle girth, Gendry came up to say that he was sorry. He put a foot in the stirrup and swung up into her saddle so she could look down on him instead of up. You could have made swords of Riverrun for my brother, she thought. What she said was, if you want to be some stupid outlaw and I can get hanged, why should I care? I'll be at Riverrun ransom with my brother. There was no rain that day, thankfully. For once, they made good time. The Marrier protects them from afar. The bond is strong. The lone wolf is not alone, never alone. Up next.
Yeah, my thing is, if Nymeria and her wolf pack are out there, if the Hound is out there, then I think it's random leaping, magical fingers, hidden fingers, whatever you want to call it, that they did not cross paths, the Hound and the wolves.
Okay.
Because we know he's close.
Right.
And for her to see him and then so soon afterwards the wolves, for her hate for the Hound, you would think Nymeria would make a beeline for him, track him down and kill him. So yeah, I think there's somebody that's making sure that doesn't happen.
The Green Bard said it's that Nymeria is mirroring. It's Hallam and Arya's mad at Gendry.
Yeah.
Up next, Storm 40, Brand 3. No Hodoring! Brand, what did you do? So, speaking of which, Eldrick had a video out about 8 or 9 days ago, I think, and he argues that basically Bran with Hodor is really telling us how the wall was built. That Bran, the builder, was likely forcing the giants through skin changing, and we're being shown this with the symbolism of Bran and Hodor. I
like that.
Read Lawson.
I'm writing it down so I remember to go back and look so I didn't see it.
Is that the poem where and 7 times never kill man comes from Mother Royd? One of George's famous early works.
Oh, and speaking of the eye color being more important than the hair color, let's not forget that the eyes are the windows to the souls. So I could see George putting a little bit more emphasis on eye color than he does hair color, but I do believe he puts it on both.
Perhaps Nymeria doesn't distrust the hound's scent. Arya ultimately can't bring herself to kill him, even though he's on her list. Yep.
Yeah, but that's after she kind of gets to know him.
Yeah, I agree.
If he was asleep right there at her feet and she had a knife or a sword,
right
at
now,
this point in the story, I think she would kill him.
Mother one says yes, and she's read the story. Yeah, I actually I got an app from the local library and did the dream songs from audiobook. So anyway,
this week the both my kids are out for. One is out for spring break, and the other one is out because their school is closed this week, even though it's not their spring break. I'm still getting used to South Carolina's school schedule, but so Wednesday's still looking good. I got Lindsay being able to watch Carter. So hopefully after 2 weeks of not being able to do it, this Wednesday, hump day, we'll be able to do the Sorella Alaris and was Danny pregnant at the end of the book 5. And something that you said, I believe Friday, about the size of the eyes of Oberon's children's will definitely be brought up Wednesday, whether you can be here or not. But that definitely did give me something to add on to what I got to look up. So thanks again for giving me homework.
Nettle says that Nymeria has seen the hound in the weirwood nest. He's all right. And Queen Bard says John has black eyes, stark gray mixed with purple tard, Alyssa tard, one green eye, Alicing's blue with Alex gray.
John's eyes are black or are they gray?
I thought they were gray, but I'm not sure.
I thought they were gray.
Let's look it up.
Yeah, I will too.
Anyway.
Well, I mean, I don't see the Green Bard being wrong. It's just, I'm remembering differently, which we know how my memory is. But all right, that's our usual hour. So hopefully everybody can join us again on Wednesday, hump day, for me, Lizzie, and Lady Thistle. Thank you, Sanji. I know you're not always able to join us, and James Martin, you and the Green Bard for sure aren't always able to be here. Girl Nettles, Lizzie, Jeff, Pod, Lady Thistle.
Chapter 6, John has gray eyes.
All right, they are. What's the next one?
Clash of Kings, Chapter 6 says he has gray eyes.
All right, they are very dark. A gray so dark, they look almost black.
Almost black.
Like the video.
Like the video. Good time. Nice.
All right. Well, we know we like to keep it short on the closing, so hopefully everybody can join us again on Wednesday. We appreciate it. Y'all be good. Take care. And bye, Richard.
Have a good one.